So we all know that a special event happened in February 2001. Some people consider it the birth year of Agile because that's when the Agile Manifesto came out, or the Manifesto for Agile Software Development, if you want to be technical about what it was called. And at that time, it was revolutionary. It took the world by storm. So many professionals found better ways and new ways of creating software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work, they have come to value. I'm sure you recognize that line, right? But at the height of Agile, people saw it as the elite, the perfect way for all software related and even all product related problems to be solved. But nowadays, has Agile become a commodity? That's a good question. Everyone seems to be working in Agile these days. Some proclaim that we are now in the quote unquote post-Agile era. Others are quoted as saying Agile is dead or nearly dead. And these developments and claims, they intrigue me. It made me start to think about, are we on Agile 2.0 or is Agile dead altogether, or where are we? So I took some time and revisited the manifesto, and I wanted to look at what it was written there, and I wanted to decide how relevant is Agile today. Now, the first thing that I came across was that the Agile Manifesto was originally titled, the Manifesto for Software Development, right? One of the things that I discovered is that I think more of those principles are relevant now in a non-software development related environment as opposed to a software development related environment. So when I start thinking about assessing the values and what they really mean, I want to talk about how these principles provide context to the manifesto, the 12 principles, and how they can help you broaden your scope beyond software and just what it really means. So in the 2020 Scrum Guide, there was a quote. It said, "We're humbled to see Scrum being adopted in so many domains holding essentially complex work, beyond software product development where Scrum made its roots." So I think this is why why Agile is still part of the discussion today. So whenever the principles discuss software, if you just replace software with product or service, oftentimes that helps you make the Agile piece of it relevant again. So when you start thinking about the principles, the first principle is our highest priority is to satisfy customers through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. I'm trying to remember it. I think that's close, if not exact. I say that principle is central in today's discussions involving focusing on outcomes instead of outputs. So if you focus on outcome over output and really dedicate yourself to what gives or what yields the greatest impact and create products that people actually love and love to use, that's going to be how you can get true feature teams to work together and get better at delivering working products and services that people actually enjoy using, that aren't throwaway, that don't have a lot of waste. And I think that's probably been that's my aha moment for you right there. That I think that the number one reason why people think Agile's not working is because they are using or implementing Agile for the sake of implementing Agile, but they're not taking the time to limit WIP and to eliminate waste. So it's one thing to say, yeah, we're doing the Agile, we're following all the rules. But if you're following all the rules, but you're not focused on impact, it doesn't matter that you follow all the rules, right? That's like saying I follow every traffic rule, but I shouldn't, but I shouldn't be driving, or I've never driven before. I follow every traffic rule, but I've never driven before. It's like you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get very far, right? Or I follow every traffic rule, but I don't have a car, right? It's like, come on, guys, you got to do more than that, right? So when you're trying to move the needle and stop cranking out features and start focusing on what yields the greatest impact, that's going to give you that first change. The second one has to do with welcome changing requirements, even late in software development. We harness the customers' change, so that we can gain a competitive advantage. And in today's world, it's way more volatile than it was, in in 2001, right? It's becoming increasingly difficult to predict the future and to figure out what people are going to need. So because it's not easy to predict the future and easy to figure things out, this principle was relevant in 2001, but I think it's even more relevant now than it was in 2001. Deliver working products and services frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with preference to shorter cycles. This principle shows that 20 years back, delivering working products 10 times a year was considered frequent. My have times changed, right? I think if you tried to do that now, you'd be lambasted. I think if you did every 4 weeks, people just look at you like you're crazy, right? I think now we've come to a point where people understand that every 2 weeks is, a satisfactory amount of time, or quicker, right? Depending on a type of product or service that you're building. Business people and developers must work together daily on a project? Absolutely. But you need to decide who are the business people. And I think this is the reason why I created the BAFATA back in 2007. So in 2007, we started talking about business analysts, functional analysts, and technical analysts that were there to support the product owner so that you could have the right key stakeholders in a room to get decisions made quickly. Okay, build projects and teams around motivated individuals and give them an environment and support they need and trust them to get the work done. That is so important. I think that principle has stood the test of time, and I think that it's still relevant today. So I don't have a whole lot to add or take away there other than we need to make sure people are given more than one opportunity, more than one single opportunity to get their work done and to go back. They need to have the ability to inspect and adapt. They need to have the ability to review, revise, and re-engineer their work. And I think that sometimes we expect it to be a one and done kind of scenario. And that hurts. I'm telling you right now, that hurts software development. It hurts the end customer. It hurts everybody when you're trying to do everything one and done. So you want to make sure you're giving people an environment where they can pivot as needed. The most efficient and effective way to convey information within a development team or to a development team is using Slack. And that's not what it says. It says it's face-to-face conversations. That still hasn't changed. Face-to-face is still the best way. The only thing that's changed is you can still do face-to-face over Zoom. You can do face-to-face over Teams. It doesn't have to be face-to-face in person, although that is best, but you can still have face-to-face conversations, right? Here's my favorite. Working products and services is the primary measure of success. You need to figure out how you're going to measure success, and that's on whether or not your product works and whether or not people are using it. And I think that's just common sense. But I can't believe so many people don't focus on that. Or how about this? Agile processes promote sustainable development. Sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. This is telling you walk, don't run, right? This is telling you to move in the right direction at a good pace, a sustainable pace, instead of working nights and weekends and constantly burning both ends of the stick. I hear so many organizations that claim to be doing Agile, and then when they tell me their Agile teams are doing well, I said, well, what did you do to reward them? And I said, well, we gave them more work. That's not the answer we're looking for, right? If you really feel like people are doing Agile well, you should never reward them with more work. That's contradictory. It just doesn't make sense, yes? Okay, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances your agility. Absolutely true. It's far easier to build upon great quality products than upon products that have technical issues. So if you're going to build something, build it right the first time. Number 10 is simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done. I tell people all the time that when you say no to something, it's the same as saying yes to something else. So if people want to get my commitment on the highest level things, that means I'm going to have to say no to a few things to get there. And they usually understand that. And that usually works really, really, really well. Okay. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. This principle is similar to the one discussing giving people the trust to get the job done. So there's little debate about here. Organizations can struggle with this, but there's a general consensus that it's always best to let the teams figure out how to reach their goals by building their products or services a certain way. So, I think that makes sense. And then at regular intervals, the team should reflect on how to become more effective. So every Agile approach works with retrospectives, period. Few teams are able to get the full potential out of retrospectives because they just don't know how to do them effectively. So sometimes they don't get any further than just tweaking simple processes or writing down some quick bullet points for an agreement. A retrospective should have so much more to offer. And I think that good teams, or the difference between good teams and great teams, are the ones that have meaningful, powerful retrospectives. So retrospectives should be expanded to the organizational level, and the organization should be willing to change based on the information they get from the retrospective. So it's the only way you're ever going to foster true business agility. So if you're trying to figure this out, and you're trying to ask yourself how relevant is Agile today and how relevant are these principles, what I can tell you is just rewind to the manifesto and give yourself a quiz and ask yourself, are you doing these things? And if not, why not? And don't look at it as, a bag of chips. Don't just say, sure, we're doing all these things. Where's our trophy? No participation award is worth it. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.